Thank you. So our first speaker this morning will be Sister Mary Makamatine Lembo. Sister Mary was born and brought up in Togo, West Africa. She is a member of the congregation of St. Catherine of Alexandria, where she is also the Vicar General of the congregation. Sister Mary holds a degree, master's degree in science of education, pedagogy for school management, and professional training from the Pontifical Salesian University in Rome. She also holds a licentiate and PhD in psychology from the Institute of Psychology at the Pontifical Gregorian University in Rome. Her research for doctoral thesis was on preventing sexual abuse of consecrated women. She graduated in 2019. Sister Mary has also been involved in human formation, training and accompaniment of seminarians, religious, priests, and formators. Sister Mary's belief and hope is that prevention is key first step in support of victims. And that means that we create awareness and minimize abuse within the church society before we enter into safeguarding. So welcome, Sister Mary Lembo.
Thank you, Sister Jacinta. Good morning, everyone. I'm grateful to be here and take this opportunity to share my contribution, a small one about what we have heard from Tuesday, different realities and stories about women of faith and strength. Many have been said, and it will be a base of the particularity I'm going to share today about also another context. Or my sharing and study case will be focused also on what Sister Nirmalini has said about religious women being abused. They are women of faith, they are women of strength. Still, they go through struggles, challenges. First of all, I would like to say this. The study will be about abuse from priests to religious women. Priests here present and in other different places are collaborating and value, sustain, empowered women and consecrated women or religious women. They create space for what I believe in collaboration and what we can call also synodality, for women to collaborate and to bring their capacities and competence in different contexts. They provide help and guidance, spiritual, emotional, moral, guidance for women to strengthen their faith and also their courage. They allowed also women to empower them because in the context of collaboration, we empower each other. So what I'm going to share about this case is not against priests. We have them and they are in this context I have already described. they are helping and they are being also empowering. My sharing will be about the context of Africa, and Africa being a continent. I will situate, this case is situated in West Africa in 2 countries where the survivor lived and bring her mission. The case study is about Sister Regina. I choose to call her in this way. She is from Togo and living her mission in Benin, all West African countries. Regina was 30 years old woman when I met her during my research, which is about how to understand the dynamic in pastoral context and collaboration relationship among priests and consecrated women or religious women. What are the dynamics? To understand in order is a qualitative research to understand in order to prevent in education, formation, and also how to listen and sustain victims and survivors. I use victims also because still in this context, there are many who are not able to talk about this situation. As I said, she was 30 years old when I met her in 2018. And also, I contacted her this year and asked if I can present this situation, and she allowed me to do so. She is a religious sister. She joined her religious community after making her profession, religious profession, and she was assigned to work alongside with her parish priest. Her community entrusts her to lead a youth group in a parish. So she was required to meet regularly the priest to plan the pastoral activities. However, she was subject to repeated sexual harassment by him during work meetings, and even when he repeatedly turned up at places of worship. She was shocked, frightened, and disillusioned. Regina occasionally tried to flee from these encounters, and finally she got advice from her spiritual guide to clarify the nature of this relationship and make it clear that she did not give her consent. In response, the priest became resentful, passive-aggressive. For example, he will not respond to her messages asking what to do and how to plan the activities. And he increasingly insisted, which made her the pastoral, which made their pastoral collaboration ineffective. He restored more degrading and coercive tactics in reaction to the refusal of Regina. And this behavior sparked conflicts within the community, with some of Regina's fellow sisters who accusing her of inappropriate conduct towards the priest. Sister Regina was deeply distressed, isolated, and continued to suffer the emotional consequences, which undermine also her confidence in her mission. After this summary of what I'm going to say, I want to consider first the context. This contest is still evangelization contest, means there are many young people, children, and families who they believe in God and want to live their life in the context of Catholic Church. So there are many who are asking for baptism. And the consecrated women live their life and their mission in this contest. They reach out to many people from different geographical settings, rich people, poor, and from also children, adults, and young people. And in this context, their mission is very demanding. They offer support, various services with competence and dedication, and especially in rural areas. The consecrated community are living some kind of dependencies, and these are some of risk factors for their life. Dependency for spiritual guidance, dependency on financial context, and also dependency on even infrastructures to, for example, they need the means, for example, to move from remote villages to nearby towns where they can have availability for the medical care, the basic needs, and this also can end in depending on the parish priest, for example, for the car to move. And if they don't have these availabilities, they have to depend on him and the schedules that he has. Either they do that or they have to decide to remain on basic transport, for example, motorbike, facing fatigue of long distance dash, heat, rain, and possibility to be exposed to robberies by bandits. This is and was the reality of Sister Regina and her community. And many people who are helping in this contest, the overload of work and mission for these consecrated women can realize that. We thank here present the organization like Missio, who know and sustain these consecrated women in this mission, also Hilton Foundation, that have initiative and know well this contest, how demanding it is. Other possibility of dependency is about how this creates vulnerability or situations of vulnerability in responsibility. For even though Sister Regina is responsible of this youth group, she depends heavily on the parish priest because he has the responsibility for the key decisions regarding the organizations of the group, the pastoral activities. He decides how and when to meet, the place where they can meet, and also the agenda of the meetings. He controls the access of the car, for example, that they can use for purchasing materials for their activities. This dependence on the parish priest limited Sister Regina's autonomy in decision-making. Abuse or sexual harassment. Regina continued to suffer emotional and sexual harassment from the parish priest. a person with whom she is supposed often to work and plan, organize activities for, and with young people in the parish. Sexual harassment is unwanted behavior of sexual nature, and that happens often, is repeated, and has harmful consequences on the person subjected to it. That was the reality of Sister Regina. In such context, this was inequality, the force of power, authority, and manipulation of the conscience. As I mentioned already before, the priest was the pastor. He was the pastor of the parish. He is in charge of young people in the diocese and also in the parish. He has the trust of the bishop. Sister Regina depended on him, on his guidance about what to be done and what are the orientation followed by the diocese for the evangelization. In this case, the relationship is the imbalanced relationship because of his way of behaving as a boss and Sister Regina. He is the boss. He is the one organizing. He made Sister Regina work under him and his orders. Collaboration, which means to work together, involving her in management, planning of the mission, decision-making, evaluation, consulting her or asking for her opinion in order to finally decide. Involving her also and communicating the good time before implementing decisions was limited to the domination of her, and she depended on him. She carried out the program of the activities that he organized following the orientation of the bishop. Here the question is about why he has to not accept or understand and welcome the no of Sister Regina. And that will outline one of the aspects of a woman being considered. Means this no is not objective for him, because a woman in this context, Regina, words and no are not to be considered. He is the boss. He can know what is good for her and for him, but what he is saying is not considered. And this is one of the mindset and also aspect of, as a cultural aspect, towards the relationship with man and woman. And that also make considered the arranged marriage. That is the idea behind. So what in sexual activities, even though the woman has to say no, is not count, is not considered. And the impact of that on Regina. Regina in her story will speak about powerlessness, exhaustion, because of repeating that she did not consent to this relationship based on being solicited for sexual activities. Meeting places for reflection and work became hostile. She armed herself with strength to resist the priest. This deprived her of concentration, attention, impetus, strength, and energy to give to her mission with young people. And that I said already in this context of evangelization is very demanding. Many, many young people that must be oriented, guided, and the parish is the place where they can live, deepen their faith, and have also activity for their well-being. This situation disrupts also the community life. Regina was saddened by it, felt alone, and carried the after effect, which hampered her ability to take initiatives and to be spontaneous in her mission. The impact on the community. Talking about the hostility he is facing in workplace, some sisters of Regina, her community sisters, re-victimizes her and accuse her of being responsible of the situation, which she must create by making eyes to the priest. In this situation, the perpetrator influence has a collateral effect on the community, which divides, isolates its members, and put them against each other. He was the good priest who has always collaborated with the sisters loyally. With this situation, and in this situation, the conclusion can be that he is a good person, responsible, but it is only Regina who created this situation. Impact on the mission. As I have already pointed, that emotional and sexual harassment exhausted Regina, affected her missionary drive, and have repercussion on her effectiveness and efficiency of her activities with young people. So this can bring, as I said already in the community, the division among the members, spiritual and emotional isolation, and the trust. It affects also the trust among the members of the community. Who will take the responsibility? The responsibility and the accountability of these situations. In this case, Regina feels she was only responsible for this because she faced difficulties, but at the same time, the community, she is not listened to. And the abuse in this case continue, the harassment. And she received also reprimands of her community. As she will say, she did not have enough strength to speak out in the community, to the community leaders, neither to the local bishop. And that she has courage to face, but this courage means not enough, because it's not possible to talk about it and to express exactly what she is facing. Also, norms. How can norms also help in this responsibility to face these situations? We have the gospel as Christians, and religious communities has also their constitution, and we can say also policies that are all in their constitution. How can it be used to respond to this? Guidelines are expressing gospel because Jesus is the person around whom we have or we feel safe. And we have the gospel that are declined in the charism and the spirituality of the consecrated communities? How can it be known by all and also expressed for creating safe space or respecting dignity of person? The policies that are concrete norms that can help to know what to do in this context, in the parish and also in the community. And code of conduct, practice what is allowed and helpful to respect and construct healthy boundaries. And what are the attitude? That attitude, respectful attitude and healthy boundaries in this context, how to bring them. Anyway, in this case, Regina was not able to reach out to her community leader, how to deal with her emotion in this and face all the reprimanded that she is receiving. Regina did not feel strong to speak out. Her community leader also not able to face the local bishop. First of all, they do not believe. In this situation, what can be is just suggestions, and then yours will be also helpful after. We think about education, but education of what? For example, what is consent in two persons who want to live sexual activities? And consent is important. What is it about? We need to do this education already in the schools and also in the initial and ongoing formation. Most of them, also Regina and in my research was saying, we were surprised. We never know we will have sexual solicitation from a priest. And sexual reality is also not easy to talk about. Even to name the intimate part is not easy of the body. We think about formation, initial and ongoing formation for religious women, for seminarian, for priests, for member of the faithful, in the teaching different. The Catholic Church has many schools, many universities, also in this context, West Africa and other parts of Africa. How to use this for education, deeply education, and focus on the mindset that the culture also brings, making the context of collaboration lived by some priests who abuse to behave as it can be pastoral relationship or also collaboration, behave like boss instead of making space, instead of valuing the woman or the consecrated person. We need laws and norms to help build clear boundaries and also to be respected and to be followed, because this is something we need to work on. The civil law and also canonical law will help in this. And from my little experience, standing by the victims, as I said, to raise awareness about the possibility in sexual relationship or something to be able to say no, and say no without fear, or at least reduce this fear, without shame, or a sense of guilt, because the education also based on respect tend to be submission, gratitude. You receive a service or something from a person and you have to say thank you for that, is thank you. It's not paying back something. This aspect must be considered also in, and that must be said, because it's not easy just to think about it, but to repeat. Almost, Regina and Ada will say, oh, he did this, he was a mentor, she was a spiritual guide, so how can I? It's not the same thing, and it must be said, you can say no if you are not, and if you say, you can even cry, you can even, if you are in a closed environment, you can even shout and say, I do not accept this attitude. But it's not easy. We have to say it, insist, and the standing by is what I realize. Sometimes we talk about the setting of reporting this attitude, even talking, telling the community, I'm going through this. It's not easy. They can say it, but after, what will happen to me and to my family? So we need also to stand by and support and say, you can say it, and if there are situations, I'm here, we can talk about it. And that is what is happening in our context. I said it already, how we implement safeguarding policies, education, implementing formation for all members of the community, establishing reporting system, and at the same time standing by to the survivors and victims to be able to, and also the leadership. You know, religious women are living in community, and these structures sometimes are challenged. There are difficulties, and it needs responsibility, transparency, and accountability. Strengthen victim and support systems. Before leaving this reflection that will also allow for questions after, I want to say the steps. As I said, the church in Africa, not all Africa, of course, because it is a continent, in this West Africa and other sub-Saharan Africa, the evangelization is in its process. Also, what we are doing, raising awareness about these situations, is a process. Before presenting this case, I call Regina and I say, when all of them participate, there were 9, they told me they don't want to be known, to be protected, so we respect in the research the confidentiality. So I asked her, can I share the case? She said yes, and she said, sister, you know, something similar is happening. Now she changed a community in another country, always this part of Africa. Something similar is happening. A person asking me for sex and insisting, and he is a man, a priest also, but religious in the community, in charge of formation. And I asked her, Sister Regina, what do you think? Is it not time to talk to your provincial leader? And she said, yes, I can do that. I said, okay, try to do it and let me know what is happening. And then I say, what do you think if you talk to your superior, your provincial leader, what do you think about together going to the superior of this man? She took time and said, I think we can do that. And the provincial superior was traveling to her community. And I hope, and I will follow that also, that they will do that. So from 2018 till now, this is the process, these are the steps. I can also share something about raising this in front of superior. Last May, there was a COMSAM meeting, means a confederation of major superior and of Africa and Madagascar in Johannesburg. They have men and women. And one sister from Zambia, Lina Siabana, addressed this issue about sexual abuse of religious women by priests in Africa. So I can say there are steps. But still, we have enough to do. And this opportunity that will be also known, this conference is also another step. How can we then, this question that I will let for your reflection and different suggestions for us to continue, you and me, continue sustaining consecrated religious women? How can safeguarding procedures, policies, and code of conduct empower religious women to prevent sexual violence and any other form of abuse in their personal, ministry, and community life? Thank you.